Hello, welcome. It's Christopher Taylor on the top of the hill here with Sovereign Harmony Astrology. Thanks for joining me. It's Sunday, April 19th. We're going to do the astrology for April 19th to the 25th. Okay. And we were just coming off of this really intense new moon in Aries involving a lot of planets. Okay. So the new moon was conjunct Chiron. So it's Sun, Moon, and Chiron all together in late Aries. And then in early Aries, there's this cluster of Saturn, Neptune, which joined each other at 0 degrees Aries back in February, but also Mercury and Mars. So that 4-planet cluster in early Aries sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. And the doors are wide open. That's really what this new moon has to do with. But with Saturn there, it's not necessarily full speed ahead, even though we're in this year of the fire horse and everything wants to go. All the planets are direct. There's no retrograde planets until early May. Everything wants to go. It's our responsibility. That's self-responsibility. That's that Saturn in Aries, to make responsible channels for the inspirations that are moving through us right now. And we're all at different paces. So the doors are open. Some people are getting that pop off early. Some of us will get it a little later. So don't, there's a temptation to get frustrated with Saturn in Aries stalling everything or appearing to stall everything. What it's really doing is asking us to responsibly channel. So open those channels. The doors are open. It's up to us to create the channels so the inspirations can flow properly. Okay, they have to be in a line with our highest intentions. That's Neptune and Aries. Okay, if they're not aligned with our highest intentions, they're just going to be destructive. And so that's the whole purpose of Saturn there, is to make sure they are aligned. Okay, think of it like popcorn. When it starts popping, there's a few pops here and there. Then there's the pop zone where everything's popping nonstop, and then there's a trickle at the end of popping. People are going to be popping off like this when it comes to our inspirations and taking action. You don't have to be one of the first poppers. We're going to pop, okay? There's no getting around it. It's the year of the fire horse, like I said. It's go time, all right? But just be patient. Use that Saturn to properly channel the highest intentions. Don't go willy-nilly, okay? That's the thing. And here today, Sunday, we've got Mars and Saturn conjunct. Mercury will join this into a triple conjunction tomorrow on Monday the 20th. Okay, so this is our chance to feel that impulse, feel that inspiration, but take responsibility for channeling it properly so that it establishes itself over time. This is a 2-year cycle. Mars and Saturn, they meet up every 2 years. It's not, every year or every few months or anything like that. Okay, so we're setting the stage for how we're going to channel our impulses and our inspirations from here forward. It's our responsibility to do it right now as we speak with this energy in the early part of the week. Okay, and that's going to include our thoughts with Mercury and Aries as well. Okay, so that triple conjunction, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, keep the focus. Don't let our inspirations hurt us, okay? Make sure they flow with our highest intentions. That's really the key. As we get to midweek, around Thursday or so, this is where Venus and Taurus, remember Venus, personal planet, out ahead of the other planets, way ahead now, okay? The sun is going to enter Taurus actually later today on Sunday, but it's way behind Venus, which is going to be entering Gemini by the end of the week. So Venus is almost one sign ahead of the sun, and then Mars and Mercury are still back in Aries. So they're starting to really separate. Okay, they were in this kind of accordion situation from the fall into the winter, and now they're starting. And then that Mercury retrograde kind of was the last phase of that, and now they're spreading apart. Okay, Venus is getting way ahead, Sun behind it, and then Mercury's going to get ahead of Mars here after tomorrow. And it's going to start moving pretty quickly ahead. It's actually going to catch up to Venus eventually, okay? But Venus is going to make the final aspect to Uranus and Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. It's been about 8 years of really changing up the sign of Taurus. Taurus likes comfort and stability and predictability. Uranus is the planet of the opposite of that. It's about disrupting that. So the last 8 years have really showed us how to rethink our idea of security, stability, etc., okay? And we're coming to the end of that here. Uranus is going to enter Gemini on Saturday, and Venus will be the last aspect it makes at 29 degrees Taurus here on Thursday. And actually, Venus will join Taurus. Venus will be in Taurus, joining Uranus, and then it's going to enter Gemini. It's going to lead the way. It's going to kind of pull Uranus into Gemini with it, okay? And Venus is at home in Taurus. In Gemini, it's a little bit flighty, okay? All right, so we're going from like kind of comfort to like exploration and curiosity with Venus, okay? And that's going to introduce Uranus to that aspect. Uranus in Gemini is going to be very different than Uranus in Taurus. If you think back to the 1940s, that's the last time Uranus was in Gemini, okay? Very fast-moving technological developments. That's the key to Uranus and Gemini, because it's about information, Gemini, than daily life, okay? And Uranus is about like rapid changes in that, okay? So for example, by the end of the 1940s, we had television, okay? At the beginning of the 40s, there was a nuclear theory. By the mid-40s, there was nuclear bombs, okay? Things develop fast. In fact, the internet, the military grade level of the internet actually came out in the 1940s, okay? So things move fast. As if we're not technologically advanced as it is, just wait. These next 7-8 years, as we get into the early to mid 2030s with Uranus and Gemini, it's going to get pretty crazy. I mean, we already have AI. Imagine how much faster that's going to develop, okay, and other things as well. I imagine that also astrology, which is a very Uranian thing. It's a very Uranian tool. It's out there. It's different, okay? Gemini is about like daily life, okay? I see astrology becoming more a part of the greater collective day of life. There's an openness to it, essentially, especially with Pluto and Aquarius, okay? And we've got Saturn and Neptune in Aries, so it's about self-responsibility. If an individual sees value in something, they can step into it, okay? So it's less about the collective demands or collective expectations, okay, in this period going forward. So we're going to see some big changes coming up. And with Venus making that final aspect to Uranus at the last degree of Taurus, we might see some surprises here at the end of the week, financially, on a collective level, I think, just before this happens, okay? I feel like it just feels more collective than personal, but you might experience something personal in your life. Look at your chart where 29 degrees Taurus is. That's where the Venus-Uranus conjunction will be, just before it enters Gemini. Then at the very end of the week as well, on Saturday, that Sun, fresh in Taurus, and enters Taurus later today, is going to square Pluto in Aquarius, as well as form a sextile to the North Node in Pisces, okay? And so this is suggesting, hey, Uranus has just done this 8-year transit of Taurus. It's changed it up. It's changed up the whole idea of security and familiarity and what is comfortable, okay? And so that Sun in Taurus is kind of coming back like thinking, oh, it's the same old, and that square to Pluto in Aquarius is saying, nope, this is the new. There's a new comfort. There's a new security, okay? Wake up to that. And that alignment to that North Node is basically saying, yeah, like, use your intuition. And the North Node's in Pisces. Don't go back to those old habits of predictability in that South Node in Virgo, okay? Open up to your intuition. Let that lead the way. So the sign of Taurus has essentially been forever changed, and the end of that party is here at the end of this week when Uranus finally exits Taurus, enters Gemini, and now all the outer planets are in their new signs that they've been developing since last year. In 2025, we had a preview of Neptune and Aries. We had a preview of Uranus and Gemini, then they backed into their old signs, and now they're going to be all completely in their new signs. And so again, this is very different energy from the collective globalism that has kind of dominated here in the last few decades, and that was predicated by the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Capricorn back in 1989. Okay, we just had the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries here on February 20th, 2026. Wiping that period off, okay, collectivism, globalism, it's dying out here, and the power is coming back to the people. The information is coming back to the people with that Uranus and Gemini, so we have more to work on as individuals, more to assess our personal responsibility with Saturn in Aries, and that ability to channel our higher selves. Forget what society says, forget what any dogmas tell us. We know our true selves. We have a direct line to God as an individual, as a sovereign individual, and we're coming back into that reality instead of dogmatic, collective, top-down ideas of what we're supposed to do or not supposed to do, and how we're supposed to live, okay? So this is really a big change, and Uranus entering Gemini is the completion of that big change. Of course, the people in power still think it's the same old, and you're trying your best to keep things afloat as the status quo, but the more we tap into our sovereignty, the more that will die out quickly. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you watch me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, doesn't matter. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you are looking for a personal reading, I do those as well. We can look at your chart, how all these big changes are happening there. Other than that, have a great Sunday, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.